Hello my dear friends and welcome to StudyIQ. I am Joycey Joy and today in this lecture we will discuss about the narrowing trade deficit in India. So first we will understand what is the current affair. India's trade deficit has come down to a 17-month low in the month of February 2019 according to the recent data that was released by the Union Ministry of Commerce. Now, in this perspective, it is important for us to understand what is trade deficit and what are the factors that has brought down the trade deficit of the country. So, we will discuss this issue in detail in this lecture. But before we start, this is our channel StudyIQ and we are providing pen drive courses for various competitive examinations including SSC bank courses, UPSC optionals, SSC JE courses, teaching examinations, railway examinations, defense examinations, RBI grade B, NABARD grade A, UGC NET, UPSC Civil Services Examination, CLAT exams for various state PSCs and also for various professional courses. You can visit our website www.studyiq.com for more details or you can call to any of these numbers for more information. So let us first understand what is a trade scenario in India. So as we discussed in the beginning, India's trade deficit has come down to a 17-month low in the month of February 2019. So first of all, it is important to understand whether it is a good symptom or not. So for that, we should understand what is a trade deficit. So what is trade deficit? Trade deficit is the difference between a country's exports and imports. So the difference between exports and imports gives you trade deficit. And trade deficit is a situation when the imports to a country is higher than the exports. So this is called deficit. And when the exports are higher than imports, it is called trade surplus. And when the imports is equal to exports, it is called a trade balance. So these three terms are very important. Now, trade deficit means that the imports are higher than exports. Now, narrowing or shrinking trade deficit means the difference between exports and imports are coming down or the exports are increasing over the imports. Now, understanding about India's exports increased 2.44% from an year ago. Now it is $26.7 billion and the imports contracted by 5.4%. So, what is trade deficit? It is a situation where imports are higher than the exports. Now, let us take both exports and imports separately. Now, imports have come down by 5.4% and exports have increased by 2.44%. So, this is a favorable condition. Now, exports increases and imports coming down. This will lead to narrowing the trade deficit. And this decline in the trade deficit is by $9.6 billion. Now, let us understand what are the driving factors. So, what are the factors that led to narrowing the trade deficit in the country? So, as we discussed in the beginning, two primary factors are imports and exports. So, decrease in imports and increase in exports are the general factors that leads to narrowing the trade deficit. Now, in case of imports, let us understand which of the commodities have contributed towards it. So, the narrowing of the trade deficit is the result of a sharp fall in the import of commodities like oil, gold and electronics. Now, if we look at the statistics, in the month of February, the import of oil, gold and electronics had declined by 8%, 10.8% and 6.5% respectively. So, a sharp fall in the import of these three major commodities have resulted in declining of the imports to the country. And here what is more important is that these three items generally form the bulk of the country's import bill. So these three are the major commodities which are imported to the country, and when there is a sharp cut in the imports of these commodities to the country, it leads to a situation where the trade deficit will narrow down. And secondly, coming to the second broad category, that is exports. The overall exports of goods and services in the country had shown a positive growth of 8.73% over a period of last 1 year. Now, exports have increased and majority commodities are organic and inorganic chemicals, drugs, pharmaceuticals and ready-made textiles. So, these group of commodities have shown a very positive growth in exports and that is the reason there is a narrowing of trade deficit. Now coming to the macroeconomic stability of the economy. So what is meant by macroeconomic stability? It means that generally the economy is stable, and the stability is influenced by variety of factors like the inflation rate in the economy, the trade deficit in the economy, the money supply in the economy, and various other factors. Now trade deficit is also a very important factor that determines macroeconomic stability, because when the trade deficit widens, it leads to a situation where the value of rupee will fall, leading to depreciation of rupee, and it will also lead to inflation. So we can say that this can lead to an instability in the macroeconomic situation of the country. So now we have seen that the trade deficit has narrowed. So does it mean that there is a macroeconomic stability in the economy? Let us understand it. Now the economies across Asia, especially the Chinese economy, the Southeast Asian economies, etc., they have shown signs of a sluggish growth or a weakening growth. So this is mainly due to the contraction in manufacturing due to the slowdown in global trade economy. Now coming to economic situation of India, we have seen that the trade deficit has narrowed down because of two factors. One is the imports have come down. Second one, exports have gone up. So if we analyze both of this, we will see that a major role is played by imports. That means the imports have come down in a rate or proportion more than what exports have gone up. So the narrowing down of trade deficit in India mainly accounts for decrease in the imports. So the relative fall in the imports is a primary reason for narrowing down the trade deficit. So can we say that this has led to a macroeconomic stability? No, because the prices of imports are not within the control of Indian economy. Now any time the prices of imports will go up, and this will create an imbalance in the Indian economy. And if we look at the exports, even though there is a growth in the export sector, it has not grown to the expected levels. Some crucial sectors like engineering, gems, jewelry, etc. have shown a negative growth, even though some other sectors have shown very positive growth. Some of the crucial sectors have shown negative growth. So we cannot say that the exports have performed very well, but the import bill or the value of imports have come down. But this is not a permanent situation. Anytime the value of imports can go up. This can even go up when the prices of oil increases. So we cannot make sure that with a decrease in imports there is macroeconomic stability. Now second thing, weak exports from India shows that there are some structural imbalances or structural weakness in the country. And that is why some of the crucial sectors have not performed well with regard to exports. Now, third factor to be considered is that when the imports to the country has come down, it has another indication as well. It also indicates that declines in imports is due to weak industrial demand within the country. So there is a manufacturing slowdown in the country. We have already discussed about the manufacturing slowdown in India in a previous lecture. You can refer to the lecture that is available on StudyIQ. So you will understand what is the situation of manufacturing slowdown in India. So the manufacturing sector is also dependent on imports for its inputs and raw materials. So when there is a decline in the imports, it also indicates that there is a manufacturing slowdown or an output cut in the economy. So considering all these factors, three important factors. The first one, due to decline in imports relatively more than an increase in the exports. Second factor to be considered, the structural weaknesses. Now third factor, low growth in the crucial areas, and fourthly, manufacturing slowdown. So considering all these factors, we cannot say that the recent narrowing down of trade deficit will not make sure that there is a macroeconomic stability in the country. Anytime this stability can be impacted. Now how does the future picture of India's exports and imports looks like? Now first factor that would impact India's exports and imports would be the global tariff war, especially between the US and the China. So this will definitely have an impact on Indian economy and its trade as well. And this can be supplemented with a rise in the crude oil prices. So Saudi Arabia has already announced that it is going to cut down the supply of oil. Now this cut down in the supply of oil will increase the price of oil, and this will definitely have an impact on India's exports and imports, because India is a highly import dependent country for its crude oil requirements, and any change in the prices of crude oil will have an impact in almost all the sectors of Indian economy. So that is a second factor. Now thirdly, US has recently revoked the preferential benefits that was given to India. Now Indian exports will not get the preferential benefits by the US, and this will make the situation tough for India's export sectors. So because now India's exporters will have to compete with other countries who are getting zero tariff. Now after revoking the preferential benefits by the US, this can also impact the trade scenario in India. So these are the factors that can impact the export and import of the country and can cause a trade imbalance for the country in the near future. You can find a PDF of this lecture on my Facebook page, and for any updates regarding my videos and lectures, you can follow me on my Facebook page, and for any queries, you can write to me at joycey.studyiq@gmail.com. Thank you.